Hey, thanks for coming back to the channel, and thanks for all the great questions and comments on my last CQ-18 video. I said we'd do a follow-up before sending the mixer back, and that's what we're doing here today. To remind everyone, this mixer is on loan from Allen and Heath for us to look at together, but this is not a sponsored video, and the mixer has already been returned to them by the time you're watching this video. Before we get into questions, if you haven't been to the official Allen and Heath digital community forums, you should check it out. There are folks with much more experience with these consoles contributing to the discussion there daily. Many of the questions asked after my video have already been discussed there too, and some have even been answered directly by the CQ Senior Product Specialist and Forum Moderator, Keith Johnson.
It's Keith from Allen and Heath.
Keith also did a great Q&A live stream I'll link below that went for over an hour, answering user questions on the spot, so be sure to check that out as well.
Okay.
He was one of the folks who answered my questions directly when I made the last video, so he's a great resource for anyone interested in these mixers, and you can find their forums at community.allen-heath.com/forums/forum/CQ. Getting to the mixer and your questions, first up, loads of people are asking about mute groups and DCAs. Just a few years ago, not that many people were hip to DCAs and how useful they are, so it's really great to see a budget-minded mixer like this generating over 6 pages of requests for DCAs on the user forum. I'm sure Allen and Heath have read those comments, but we'll all have to wait together to see what they do as a response. In the meantime, we can use the third-party mixing station app to get this functionality, so let's try that together now. To set up a DCA on an Allen Heath CQ console and mixing station, we need to go to Settings, then Layers, then hit the plus symbol in the top right corner to add a layer. Tap the box next to Name in the upper left to rename the layer. Then hit the plus symbol again to choose IDCA from the options. Again, hit the box next to Name to give it a custom name. Next, we select the channels we want to add to that DCA. Returning to our main mixing page, we see the new layer has been added below our main layer button. When we select that, we see our DCA layer with the DCA we created, and we can see that it works to change the level and mute the selected channels. Alternatively, we can add a DCA to an existing layer. If we return to the Layer tab in Settings, we can delete the layer we just made. Then select Edit for our channel layer. Again, we hit the plus symbol, add a DCA, name it, and select the channels we want involved. We then return to our channel layer edit page, and we can move that DCA wherever we want in the bank of 16 faders. I'll put it on the far left here, so now I have control of my vocal channels from a single fader on the main fader page. Hopefully that's helpful for everyone looking for those options. Several folks were curious about Stagebox and MIDI controller compatibility on these mixers. On the Stagebox side, the current generation of CQ mixer hardware does not allow connecting to an external Stagebox or audio network, so a software update won't make that possible. You'll need to look at the other mixers in Allen and Heath's lineup if you need something with MIDI, Dante, or Waves compatibility. If we search the CQ forum for help on control surfaces and MIDI control in general, it looks like the best way to get there is to use the third-party mixing station app again and connect a control surface to your tablet to get control through that. At the time of filming, the mixers themselves and the factory-built app have not yet implemented support for MIDI directly, though the discussion on the forum suggests that they could implement it at some point. If it's something you want, I'd definitely encourage you to add your voice to the feature suggestions section on their forum and tell them how you'd want to use it too, so they have a bit more context. Up next, could this mixer be used as a computerless DAW, and can punch-ins and overdubs be done with the standalone mixer? While this mixer can multi-track without a computer, it is not set up to be a standalone replacement for a DAW. There is no punch-in or overdubbing functionality. You can record to the SD card or playback from it, but not both at the same time. It's really there to capture a multi-track of a live performance, and you'll need to get a computer or a tablet involved for more complex recording sessions. A lot of folks had effects questions. We've got, does the effects section only have beginner-friendly effects? And if they add more parameters in the future, I'll order one for sure. In the current firmware, the effects controls are purposefully limited in scope to make them easier for entry-level users. I don't know if they'll be able to give access to more of the effects parameters in an update, but it would be nice to see an advanced mode for users to toggle on and off when needed. Personally, if I had my way, I'd rather see 2 versions of the operating system. Maybe you could choose at the start, like with the Sound Devices Mix Pre series. They could do something similar with this. When you set up a new scene, you could start off on the basic or the more advanced features, and that would be a lot easier, I think, than trying to add everything into one operating system. Because, yeah, you're obviously going to confuse the beginners and you're going to frustrate the advanced people by trying to make it something for everyone. And with some alternate versions of the software, I think they could solve that problem. But let me know what you think in the comments below, if you'd rather see them split it up or try to just get everything jammed into one base operating system. Now, I couldn't resist cracking the mixer open so you could see what's inside. It's always fun to see how they put products like this together, even if we don't do a full teardown. So let's take a look here up close. As expected from a mixer lineup with 3 different models like this, the internals are quite modular. The input and output board is independent of the main processing board. The screen sits on its own board, tucked below that, and the knobs and buttons on either side of that are contained on their own small boards too. If you watched enough of the last video, you'll know there was a giveaway for a couple of these Sound Tools bags for whoever left a comment, and at random, out of all the comments, Big Fun Musics was picked as the winner. And their comment says, not a lot of videos on this new series of Allen & Heath mixers. I've been staying up to date on most of them, and this was very informative. Thanks. Well, thanks to you. Here's a clip of them playing down in Florida, and I'm going to send a set of these bags and some stickers down to them ASAP. So thanks to everybody who left a comment. Let's jump back to the mixer. On the main processing board, we can see the Wi-Fi module just right of center with its antenna cable going off to the antenna. For various reasons, folks in the user groups have replaced the provided antenna, so it is nice to know that that is possible, especially if it breaks off. The processing board also has a couple of chunky heat sinks working together with that small fan we saw on the bottom panel, and those are all working to pull the heat away from the custom FPGA chips that are doing all the heavy audio processing. One viewer asked, how loud is that fan, and is it at a constant speed during use? In my testing, the fan is only noticeable in a very quiet room, but it does change speed as the unit heats up or cools down, and that fan speed is displayed on the system info page, and again, in my experience, it usually stays around 1000 RPM, but I haven't used this mixer out in like direct sunlight or anything like that, so your experience will definitely vary. Those FPGAs, or field programmable gate arrays, pack in all of the processing and flexibility that would have previously taken much more physical space and power using traditional DSP. I'll link an article from Allen & Heath's Jeff Hawley below that goes into much more detail on the company's transition to using FPGAs in its current mixers. It's pretty fascinating stuff, and honestly, it's much more involved than they make it look from a consumer perspective, so check out that article if you're interested in learning more about how they've made that transition. Overall, these units are really well built. Everything is clearly labeled. There's lots of labeled test points. If repairs or replacements need to be made in the future, it would be very easy to disassemble this and replace components. Allen & Heath also has a reputation for providing support and parts for their mixers, which is huge these days. So repairs are more likely to actually be possible in the future with something like this than with some other popular budget brands.
B is for budget cuts.
In talking about cases for this mixer, some of you suggested that you'd like to see DcSavers do a case for this, and they must have thought the same thing because they were developing lids for the CQ-12 and 18, which are now both listed on their website, so you can check those out, DcSavers.uk, I believe, but they do ship all around the world. So that'd be a perfect way to stick a lid on this thing and slide it into a backpack without breaking knobs or your screen. Really excited to see that, and thanks to the folks who recommended it. It was a great idea. So I think we've covered most of the questions that haven't already been answered thoroughly on either the Allen & Heath forums or the Facebook groups. There's a lot of resources out there for this console, and also Allen & Heath make themselves very much available for questions. So if there's something complicated you're wondering about that you haven't been able to find an answer for, give them a shout, check out the forums, and you'll probably find an answer pretty quickly. I know some folks have a difficult time remembering that there is just a limitation to how much processing you get at a given price point. So if you don't see the features that you are desperately in need of in this mixer, you may just need to step up in what you're spending to meet those expectations. There's just not an endless amount that they can put into any given product without adding more processing power. So thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.